My name is Niamh Alger and I play Dana. Dana is a part of this cash truck crew. She works at Fortico, this place. And she's part of this like family of kind of misfit guards who, they're quick talking. They're quite, it's quite a masculine energy in this place. And Dana seems to be able to hold her own. She's got this kind of tough exterior, but inside she is quite fragile and damaged, but makes up for it by her exterior. I think for Dana, she's always been a woman in a man's world. She's strong-willed and she's quick, and she can give back just as well as she takes, Guy orchestrates this black box, which is basically more like an animated table read. Everyone's up on their feet. It's a great introduction to meet everyone and to meet the director and see how he works, and that's the way in which Guy works. He's very quick-paced. There's a pacing to his direction, and I think the black box is an incredible insight into how he's going to work with you on the day. He changes a lot of the dialogue on the spot because he can hear it, and he's a man of instincts. He goes with his instincts, and if he hears it and it doesn't sound right, he immediately has another line that you can substitute in. And a lot of the time, it's the right thing. But he doesn't hold actors back. You get to play around, and that's what he creates. It's very fast paced. Everyone is very much on it, and I love it. When I think of Guy Ritchie's films, I think of pacing. It's quick, it's sharp. The dialogue is always sharp. It's tight. He doesn't sit in scenes too long for them to get heavy, but they always have. There's a poignancy and there's a drama in them, but he doesn't milk it. You move on, so that by the time something has landed with you, you're immediately into something else. And I think that's really telling of him and his way of filmmaking. I think for Dana, when H first comes into the crew, it's like almost a new little toy to play with. He's fresh in, he's fresh out of water. She sees this English lad and is quite taken by him at first. So yeah, I think she quite liked him. She quite likes this H character, and is quite intrigued to find out a bit more about him because he is quite mysterious and guarded. Like a lot of the characters in it, they are quite guarded, and she kind of develops this relationship with him that becomes quite romantic, slightly romantic, and from there, finds out a lot more about himself that she wished she hadn't.
I'm Scott Eastwood, and I play Jan. Jan is dangerous. Very dangerous. My first impressions of him was he was a hothead. He was very unpredictable, and that I really liked. I was really drawn to that. It was sort of like an exciting character. He was kind of a live wire. The interesting thing about Guy Ritchie's films is he loves to explore these criminal underworld, but all the characters have their own flaws, their own issues. They're all going through something, and that's what makes his films, I think, really interesting, because you relate to a lot of the characters, even if they're a criminal or somebody that might have done terrible things that you can't relate to. You can relate to parts of them. I wanted Jan to be flashy, to be very into his appearance, into his looks, into stuff, into things. He likes jewelry. He likes, he just likes nice things. He's also we also decided, Guy wanted to kind of rough me up a little bit. So we decided to do a prosthetic scar and a contact lens that's specifically made and painted. So they measured my eye. You go in and get a contact lens, and then they send it away to an artist, and that artist creates sort of a milky eye, and then I wear one eye for the entire film. That's been its own fun challenges. It's an action movie, fighting good guys, fighting bad guys. So the stunt stuff's always been. I'm a pretty active guy, so that stuff's I think really fun for me. Highlight of my career working with Guy Ritchie. He's just a no bullshit director. He's not. There's really no other way to say it. He's not a very Hollywood director, which I really appreciate and like. He's just a guy who gets it done and goes out there and does it and shoots it in the simplest way possible, but also a really interesting way. And I really like working for him. What makes Guy Ritchie films interesting is that there's a lot of gray area. There's a lot of gray area. You can something. The bad guys are bad. The good guys are bad. It makes the films interesting because it's not things aren't black and white. And in classic Guy Ritchie fashion, there's going to be some people who are going to die, and it's going to be a fun ride. Hear that? That's what it's like to be on a set of a Guy Ritchie film.
Of revenge based around the cash truck business in Los Angeles. And Jason Statham plays H, who is on a tear of vengeance to find the killers of his innocent son, who was by accident caught up in a robbery. He was a witness at a violent cash truck robbery. Unbeknownst to the robbers, that Jason Statham is a crime lord himself, so he's very qualified to find the culprits involved in this heinous and unfortunate accident. There are few subjects as sensitive as the unpalatable concept of a child dying before the parent. It's even worse when a child is murdered, when an innocent child is murdered. But when the father happens to be a killer himself, it inspires all sorts of empathetic vengeance that anyone can relate to. Not necessarily for the right reasons, but one can't help but feel very emotionally charged about that particular theme. So we deal with the themes of vengeance, visceral vengeance, understandable, empathetic vengeance, which is unpalatable in any capacity. However, you can empathize and sympathize for the reasons why one would be so emotionally charged. Theft, greed, wrath, sons, fathers, blood thicker than water. Ultimately, greed being the genesis of destruction, and almost anticlimactically the fulcrum upon which such biblical vengeance is exercised in order to satiate the loss of one's kin. This film's more violent, more gritty, and arguably more realistic than any of my other films have previously been. I've always been very keen on Jason Statham as an actor In fact, I was the first person to use Jason Statham as an actor. I think the first thing I used him was in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. We opened the film on Jason. I always thought that Jason Statham should be a movie star. I'm very happy to see that he has become one. And it feels like we should be reunited. And I felt as though we should do something that wasn't funny for a change. I thought this would be the perfect story for Jason and I to be reunited on. It's not funny, this film. It's serious, and the theme is serious, and it's very violent and very aggressive. But I thought it'd be the perfect film for the perfect role for Jason to occupy. When it came to getting Jason to be in this film, it was as simple as calling him up and giving him a 2-minute pitch on what that film was. Neither of us overthunk it at the time. We liked the premise. The premise of the movie could be summarized in a sentence. Jason, I always felt, was perfect for this particular film, and I'm a big fan of his. And he's gone on and become incredibly successful. And I feel as though this film is really a question of selling apples, and you're actually buying apples. So it does what it says on the tin, this film, which is Jason Statham in revenge, in an intelligent genre movie, which its spine and motivation is that of revenge, intelligent revenge, and understandable revenge. Yeah, Jason and I have been mates for about 22 years, and I think we're probably closer now than we were 22 years ago, and I was pretty close with him 22 years ago. He's been on his journey, I've been on mine. He's moved back to, we both lived in Los Angeles I lived there for 7 years, he lived there for 10. And we've both found ourselves back in London. I see more of him now than I have done for 15 years or so, which is great. Yeah, he's one of my best mates. There's much I respect and like about Jason Statham. I see more of Jason now than I have done for 15 years. We're closer now than we were 22 years ago. I think we're on to make another movie shortly. I think, by the way, he doesn't look like his age today, which is the other strange thing. I don't know what he's up to, but yeah, he's still in great physical nick. He has a happy life, a happy family life. There's a lot that Jason's managed to juggle in his life very skillfully, with great wisdom. Jason has wisdom, funnily enough. I really respect him as both as an actor and a human being.